Right, on to the rebuild then. So first bits to go in are these little washers, if you want to call them. Essentially, they're the seat of where the spring goes. So these actually came out of the C2 head. So they were originally from this particular head. So they're going to go back in. They're all the same size. So I'm just going to give them a little dab of oil just to keep them lubricated. And then I'm going to drop them over the top of the valves, and they go essentially round the bottom of where the valve stem seal is. And then we can put the springs in on top. Okay, next process is to use the springs and the valves from the VTS, the Saxo engine. I've got some cleaning solution here. Just going to pop these in there, get rid of any of the old oil on them, give them a good rummage around, like that. And then I've got a bit of rag here. This is clean rag, obviously. Pop that in there. So they're de-oiled, like that. They're clean of any old oil that was on them. And then I will give them a dab of oil on my hands, obviously of new oil, just to keep them lubricated. And that can go straight in. Same with this. Okay, that's now ready for the collets. I won't put those in just yet. I'll go and put all of these in, and then I'll do all the collets at once. Right, I am going to attempt to try and film this from the back while I set this up. Now, you're probably just going to get a lot of shots of my arms or my head while I set this up. But basically, it is reversal of removal. So I'm going to compress the spring to a point where I can see the collet, the little cutouts on there. So I want to go a reasonable way down, so I want to be able to sit the collet in the little machining gap on the valve. Okay, quite happy with that. Not entirely sure how much of this you'll be able to see on the camera, but basically in here I've compressed that down. Now the tricky bit is to get the collets in. Now what I tend to do is just get a dab of grease on them to hold them to my screwdriver and drop them in place. This is where you lose them into the cylinder head to be never found ever again. Okay, I think that one's in. And I'll do the same with the other one. Right, I think they're in. So what we'll do is we'll wind this out very slowly. Okay, what's happened there then is the first one that I put in has just dropped off the valve. So we will retrieve it and try again. And so it is very fiddly, but we'll get there. There we go. Right, that one's in. That was a bit easier. So we'll just let this go. Slowly unwind it. Try not to knock the little collets off. There we go, success. Right, so hopefully you can see in there, or you can't see, 2 seconds, that we have one of these now fitted. Actually put some light on it, there you go, you can see that now. So obviously this one's done. You can see the grease I've put around the collet, and this one isn't, this one's still loose. So yeah, I have to repeat that process for all of them, and then obviously do the same for all of these as well, and that's that done. Right, top tip of the day. So, little screwdriver that I'm using, not only am I dabbing it with a bit of grease, but sometimes it can still fall off. Now these screwdrivers, sometimes you get a little bit of a magnetic end on them. Now this one doesn't, it is ever so slightly, but not enough. And this one, it is, because I can pick up the end. Now this wasn't magnetized initially, so just to give you enough, get yourself a magnet. I've got one on the end of my little torch here. And all I'm going to do is just stroke the screwdriver in one direction a few times, turn it over, do the same that direction. Okay, and then hopefully it's just enough to pick it up and hold it while you put it in place. And that, with a little bit of grease, is enough to manipulate them into place. Hopefully that helps you out. Okay, right, valves fitted, springs in, collets all fitted. Pretty straightforward in the end. Probably took about an hour, hour and a half to do all of them. Some of them go in really, really quickly. The collets just slot in place sometimes, and you think, that one took me like 10 seconds, and sometimes one will take you 10 minutes. Just because of access, really. Obviously getting down there can be tricky. Anyway, that's all done. I'm happy that they've gone in well. So the next thing is tappets. Now, these are the original Saxo VTS tappets. This is one that I've just literally toweled off, so it's in good condition, fairly happy with it. So these just literally drop straight into the bores. I'm gonna have to lube around the outside, and they just drop in, no force required. I'm not gonna put these through the parts wash, and that's because the oil galleries on them are very, very small and quite thin. And it's going to be very tricky to essentially get degreaser out of them, and I really don't want that mixing with engine oil for obvious reasons. So if you look at this particular tappet, you can see there's the gallery hole on the side and the groove cut around it, which essentially feeds the wall or the bore with oil. That little gallery there runs inside and down that little protrusion you can see, and it essentially comes out of the top. But yeah, the hole is so small, I'm just worried I don't want to put degreaser in there. And on the cylinder head side, if I just zoom in on the head, so essentially there's a gallery that runs all the way across there, which is bunged off with a ball bearing, and then in the bore here you can see there's lots of holes there, and so on. That essentially is the oil feed to the tappet. So obviously I really don't want to get degreaser in there, so I'm just going to give them a really good towel off, inspect them all before I put them in, and then they'll just slot in. So let's do that. Probably take me about 5-10 minutes. Right, so important phase now, we're going to pop the camshaft back in. So what I've done is I've used some brake and clutch cleaner to clean the surface down here. I've done the same for the cam ladder, so this surface is as clean as it's going to be. I've given the camshaft, and we're going to start with the exhaust, a quick go through the parts wash, and all of the bolts that came out of the cam ladder have just been through the parts wash and just essentially been de-oiled and degreased. Now I'm not going to plate these like I probably normally would because they're an internal bolt. They'll be continuously covered in oil, so they won't ever rust, and obviously you won't ever see them anyway. So they're all ready to go. The first thing I need to do is, number one, is I'm going to drop a load of oil on the journals on both sides, on the ladder and on the cylinder head. And then I'm going to run the silicone bead around the top of the cylinder head here in this little groove. If you look at the Haynes manual for Saxos, it actually gives you the run here as well, and it does line up with what's on the cylinder head. So I'm just going to essentially follow the little groove here. Don't need to go right to the front where the cam ends, because there's a cam seal on the end. So right, let's crack on, and we'll put the bead in here and we'll drop the oil on. We'll put the cam in place. Right, silicone wise, I'm using Loctite Mr. MR5922, which is perfectly suitable for this application. So we just need to go around here. Right, we'll just drop the cam in place as well. We'll just drop some oil on the journals on here as well. Try not to touch the silicone. Okay, the Haynes manual asks that the little slot here that locates the camshaft sprocket should be in the 8 o'clock position. So I've done that, and essentially it just lifts the cam off all of the lobes. So we are expecting to squish some of the tappets down. Right. And so I did clean the surface of this as well. So we'll pop that over the top. Okay, I'll drop all the bolts in. There is an order to doing these bolts as well, which is also in the Haynes manual. Essentially you work inside out. I am going to do it by hand, not with a drill. So we start here. Right, last step is just to torque these up. So it asks for 8 Newton meters, not a lot. Right, now all the cams and everything are all in place and fixed down. I've given the sealant an hour or two to go off. Still a little bit more time to wait on that, but what we can do is just give them a quick spin over and check that we've got movement. So let's start with the intake cam first. Let's see. Okay, all good there. And then onto the exhaust. All good there. Cams feel really nice. Happy days. Well, you just saw me pop the thermostat on there. I thought I'll do that while I've got the silicone sealant out, and obviously just dropped a sensor there into the cylinder head. So I guess the last thing for this particular video is I really wanted to get the inlet manifold on, just for the blingy picture really, because I really want to see it on there attached to this. I've already popped that main M8 central stud in there, obviously just use a tune-up method to wind it in. So the rest of them are just normal, I think they're M7s maybe these, so I've got 6 M7 Allen key bolts to put in. They're normally studded, but I'm going to just convert them to an ordinary bolts to make life easier for myself. So obviously I'll stick the gasket on and yeah, this is it. We'll see what it looks like at the end. Right, and Saxo fans, that is it for part 2 of 2, episode 32. So I think you'll agree the top end, as it now is starting to look really good. Still quite a few little jobs left to do, and I'll do a bit of an update on that for the next episode, but I'm not going to show them now because yeah, we'll be here all day. But essentially a few jobs. So cam seals need to go in. I need to order those, haven't done that yet. I need to lay in the injector harness from the Saxo intake manifold, which is over there. I need to put the throttle on, but I need to get the adapter first, and then obviously I need to do my thing with refurbing that thing. So I'll get that on there. I need a 82-degree stat from a 306, I think, and then I need to get a nice billet housing from Spooks, I think, sell them. I need to get the oops, daisy, drop that. Get the EGR blocked. So this was from the Saxo, perfect little plate for it. Problem is this is for an M6 thread pattern C2 head as M8s, and there's just not enough meat in that little plate to take it out to M8. I think I just burst through the side of it. So I'll make a new version of that and then yeah, get that bolted onto there. And then finally it's the cam covers. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with those yet. It comes down to really what they look like, because obviously it's an aesthetic thing. I mean, I prefer the Saxo ones rather than C2 ones, but the C2 ones do have twin breathers. So yeah, anyway, I'll think about that a little bit more and then we'll come back to it. But that's for another day. It's not a desperate situation. But yeah, that's about it really for this episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed the quick double header. of getting this all sorted. Been a lot of work. Spent about 2.5 days solid over the weekend getting this stuff sorted. But yeah, hopefully the hard work is worth it. But anyway, I'm going to call it a day there. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, then please do. It really does motivate me to keep making these videos when I see the subscriber numbers. I mean, it's not all about the subscriber numbers, but that really is a good motivation to know that people like this stuff. Anyway, we will see you again in episode 33. Bye for now.